All right, Peter, you ready?
Yep.
Oh, snap, man. Are you ready?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, my God. I thought I never was so wrong in my life, man. But, yo, Peter's about to prove you guys why I was so wrong in my life, man. Welcome to the episode of Times Square Kung Fu. I am your host, Frankie Balboa, a.k.a. the Shogun Supreme.
And I'm Peter Glagowski, Associate Editor at Flixus.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at 88 films recently released Fight Back to School Trilogy box set. And this was a first-time watch for Frankie because he's a Stephen Chow hater.
Man, I don't know what the hell I was on, man. So this box set is already out, though, right?
Yes, it is officially out now. We had some mishap with the recording where we recorded it before it released. I guess Stephen Chow screwed us, but either way,
man.
Now it's out, you could buy it. We're going to give you the lowdown on it.
And definitely, and we got new mics, baby, so this is going to be good.
So for some context on Stephen Chow, he's got a particular style of comedy. It has a term in Cantonese called mole tao, which roughly translates to like nonsense or makes no sense. There are some films from the 70s or 80s you could consider that style, but it didn't start to take prominence in the Hong Kong film industry until the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. All those protests and the Chinese government overstepping its power, like people just wanted to forget. And while none of this really comes up in the film as like, you know, we're making a political statement, Stephen Chow's movies were just, you know, throw something at the wall and see what sticks. Like a lot of his comedy, it's not necessarily like structured properly or finely plotted. It's just kind of like something happens, a dude slaps you and you're like, oh Jesus, and you keep going.
And this was the first film that showcased his true style. Like he was all him, right?
Yes, it was. This is like what you could say is the progenitor of Stephen Chow, or maybe even
His
1990s All for the Winter. Like those two films, or that film and this one, propelled him into the limelight.
And Peter mentioned earlier, like when we started talking about when this film was coming out, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna get it?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I don't like Stephen Chow films." And what I explained to him was during the '90s. Yeah, look at that face. is pure ignorance for me, because during the '90s and the 2000s, when I was buying these films with my own money, I usually went to like bootleg spots, like in Chinatown or in Times Square. And they had like a TV playing, and I'm watching this comedy, goofy stuff. I'm like, no, I want my serious action, everything. Mind you, I'm a freaking teenager. What the hell do I know?
Yeah.
You know, so after they told me, like, dude, this thing is really good, you should watch it. And I'm not big into buying comedies. I just like rent them and call it a day. But he told me you need to watch it. So I'm like, fine, I'll watch it. I mean, the only thing I like from it is Kung Fu Hustle. And thanks to you, after I saw these films, I'm like, me being a hater, going like, all right, let me see this. My face was moving like, oh, this is legitimately funny. This dude is a clown. And what threw me off, he has this baby face, good-looking persona to it. Because usually, you know, when you think of comedy, they have this distinctive, goofy look to them. They're not like pretty boys, anything like that. And he looks like a pretty boy doing this slapstick comedy, also being very expressive, that reminded me of Jackie Chan, and also very animated, which threw me the freak off. And on top of that, when I found out who directed this film, the first two, it was Gordon Chan. If you guys don't know who Gordon Chan is, he's the director of Fist of Legend, Thunderbolt, and The King of Fighters.
Yeah, King of Fighters is an anomaly there. But,
but he directed that amazing film Beast Cops that got a ton of awards with Anthony Wong and Michael Wong. He's an amazing director, and I was totally shocked. And you see some of his style, but Stephen Chow is just marvelous as a comedian, as a freaking actor, and even a fighter. That threw me off, man, completely.
Yeah, there's a couple of fight scenes in the first movie where he does references to Bruce Lee, and then, I mean, they're really spot on. There's a scene on the roof where these punks are trying to bully him, and the dude's got like a cigarette in his mouth. Stephen Chow does the kick and kicks it out, and he's like, you know. And
it's well shot. It's definitely well shot. But, you know, Peter's already, For
Already
a
getting
bit,
into the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about the first film, man, right now.
So for the first film, the plot's kind of nonsensical. First off, I mean, obviously Stephen Chow's the main character, and his co-star and romantic interest in this is Charlotte Chung. He's also got the comedic stylings of Man Ta, who is anyone familiar with Stephen Chow will know is like a regular collaborator between the two. So the plot of this movie is that during a training exercise, Stephen Chow's character, Star Chow, kind of like bombs it, and they don't really know what to do with him. At the same time, the police captain's gun goes missing at a local high school. So to give Star Chow a second chance, they task him with infiltrating the high school to figure out who stole it. And like, you can already tell this makes no friggin' sense. Why would they send some 20-year-old into a high school? But that's not the point. The point of the movie...
Hey, man, it happens in New York all the time with super seniors.
The point of the movie is that it's a big send-up and spoof of undercover cop films and high school dramas and all that. So a lot of the things you'll see in the beginnings of the film are Stephen Chow like getting smacked with erasers in glorious slow-mo fashion. Him trying to pass a test while cheating by calling the police on like a secret walkie-talkie. There's bonding with his fellow students who, for some reason, don't realize this is a man in his 20s. And even like the commissioner is sending you to retrieve his stolen gun. Like it's idiotic, but it's so perfect of a setup just to have these hijinks play out.
Yeah, and after seeing this again, it's my first time watch. When the film starts, it looks amazing. It looks something straight out of Metal Gear. And you got his cool Ray-Bans.
It's immortalized on the back of the box, even.
Yeah, man. Then he's playing his Game Gear and everything, so I already know, okay, I know where this is going. But what I did enjoy about this film a lot was when he was in school. All the interactions he had with the students, the cheating, and like Peter mentioned, the erasers. Oh my God. These erasers were flinking so hard, you thought they had him in one of those baseball machines for the pitchers. Not for the pitchers, for the batters.
Or like a potato cannon.
Yeah, and then he trains for it, how to dodge this freaking crazy teacher throwing these erasers at it. It looks like it could be a third strike training freaking segment to learn how to parry. But overall, I really love this film because of the pacing. I want to know where it was going to go, especially with the hijinks. And I got to see his style, the humor, that, like I said in previous videos, that sometimes the translation doesn't catch the joke, but he's so animated. Doesn't matter. They could have put potato there and I would still laugh. Because the way he expresses the comedy. So for me, I had a total blast, especially that fight scene. I was like, what? He did a split in the air like that? I was like, yo, this is nuts.
Yeah, as I already mentioned briefly before, there's like the Bruce Lee references, and he's going like, while he kicks the cigarette out of the guy's mouth. But even the final fight scene is kind of an homage to the final one in Enter the Dragon. There's like all these trick doors, and they're spinning around, and the bad guys are trying to find them, and it's a very elaborately staged finale that caps the movie off very well.
Yeah, I definitely love it. I highly recommend it. And, we're going to move on to the second one because we're going to mention something else, how easily viewable these films are in this day and age. So we're going to talk about Fight Back to School 2.
So with Fight Back to School 2, I kind of get the impression that no one really expected the first one to be such a major hit. And if you know anything about the Hong Kong industry, they kind of churn things out really quickly. They were working cheap and fast and whatever. Anyway, so the plot here is like there was a throwaway gag at the end of the first film where Stephen Chow's character had said like he would be fine being a traffic cop. So they actually make him a traffic cop at the beginning of this one. And it's just, it's just a little like, how did he get demoted after that last movie? And over the course of getting worked by, you know, the people in the street and even his boss, Stephen Chow quits. He's like, I'm done. I've had enough of this crap. I just want to go back undercover. And he even says this thing where he's sitting in the chair and he's like, I'm going to go fight back this school. And, you know, like, weirdly self-referential, which the first movie wasn't. And I don't know, he gets some of the classmates back and they infiltrate a different college for whatever reason. I'm honestly not entirely sure. The plot didn't really matter that much in the first movie, but the setup for this one is more convoluted and they don't do anything different with it. It's just kind of a retread of the first movie. Most of the jokes are the same. I mean, there's no eraser, but yeah, it's hard to end. You know, he already had the romantic interest in the first one with Charlotte Chung, but in this one we get Athena Chu in a similar role, but she's noticeably younger, and it kind of comes off a little creepy.
Right, and like I was telling you before, because in this one he's engaged to Shaolin Chung.
Yes.
Right, and he's undercover, and she wants him to leave, and all this other stuff. So it gets really complicated. What I found odd about this one is that the film starts off very serious. Like, it feels like there's two plots happening at the same time, and then it goes back into the school scenario that we already saw in the first one, but it's weaker. It's not as believable or engaging. Like, there's no chemistry with none of the surrounding students. Like I said, like, is this a college? I think it is a college. But the whole plot, the whole arc with the parents, the creepy thing with, you know, the student, and this other side thing going on, I'm like, what the hell is going on in this film? I didn't enjoy it as much, but I did enjoy seeing your man Mang Tak like shine in this freaking film, because boy does he shine towards the end, where this film turns into straight up hard boiled.
Yeah, it's throughout the movie, Ung Man Ta has something with a female police commissioner, and like you're never really sure where it's going. But by the end of the movie, he comes in dressed like Arnold from Terminator 2, and he's wielding the shotgun. It's like, what the hell? And he just like blows these people away, and it's like, we're taking it back. And like you said, the final action scene is ridiculous. I mean,
it's insane.
The whole movie is like a little whatever, but that last scene like almost entirely makes up for it.
It totally makes up for it, and I feel like, I don't know what this film was trying to be. Was it trying to be a parody of the first one or not? But then when I see the last action scene, I feel like this film had an identity crisis. And this one was also directed by Gordon Chan. And, you know, you could see the Gordon Chan sprinkles in the final scene. But overall, I didn't like this one as much. But like I told you before we started recording, for some reason, this film solidified, like, I should actually own this box set. And I'll get into that later. But we're going to talk about my favorite. My favorite out of all these films, man, and that's Fight Back to School 3, man. We're gonna get into this.
Now we're getting to Fight Back to School 3, which of course is Frankie's favorite because he loves all that showgirls and Wong Jing and Basic Instinct nonsense. But so it's his favorite. To me, it's pretty close to the first one, I think, in terms of quality, but it is surprisingly just hilarious and off the walls. It's pretty much a parody of Basic Instinct, which they even mentioned a few times. It's like, oh, that killer's going around like that one popular movie right now. And
but who's in this movie? Come on, you gotta mention my girl. Who's in this movie?
Yeah, so while we don't have Irman Tot back, we get the wonderful addition of Anita Moy, and just, oh my god. The chemistry between her and Stephen Chow is through the roof. The two of them together are like, it's almost like an odd couple pairing, but they blow down every scene. It is. So, the general plot of this one is that Star Chow is now finally done. He's out. He's gonna get married to Charlotte Chung's character, but Beardy, Leung Kar-yan of all people, as the new officer of the police force there, he's not letting it happen. He's like, you got to go undercover one last time. Stephen Chow's like, you know it's going to ruin my marriage, right? Like, I can't do this, but he has to. So he ends up becoming a body double for the husband of Anita Moy's character. She plays a character named Judy Tong, who is this well-to-do socialite who pretty much gets anything she wants. And as luck would have it, her husband, who was recently murdered, looks exactly like Stephen Chow. So he's able to go undercover, and he's got to figure out who killed her, whatever. It doesn't have much to do with like a school per se. I guess in that aspect.
Title.
Yeah, in that aspect, you could say like, why is this even part of the series? But it honestly doesn't matter because this is like a gag a minute film, and over its very tightly paced 90 minutes, I mean, I don't think there's any point where I wasn't laughing.
I mean, I told you, man, I love this film so much. The opening, Basic Instinct, the way the film looks, it has, God bless her soul, Anita, in it. And this film is just fun from beginning to the freaking end. Like, I love everything about it. Like, I could see how they continue this off. And first of all, shout out to the hairstylist, because your girl they destroy her hair and fight back to school too. She looked like a Kina Fighters character.
Very
Keen.
short.
And this one, she looks amazing, man. Definitely amazing. But the humor, there's so many moments in this film that I freaking enjoy. There's so many highlights. Like, one of my favorites is when they actually bring Stephen Chow. Anita brings him to the house to introduce the servants and everything. And you got, who is that? No, that's not the gardener. Oh, this is my son? No, he calls everybody's dad, and he just flings the kid. I'm like, what the hell? And everybody breaks out. That's the dog. If you don't know his name, he's gonna kill everybody. So he's throwing random names. So he goes, oh, Gordon Chang, one Jing, and you see the dog just jumped at him. And there's so many moments, like, I was like, oh my God, this thing doesn't end. And one of my favorite comedic scenes here, where you see Stephen Chow combining the elements of his fighting techniques, physical humor, and wordplay, is where, like, he's being like undercover, and you got a security guard going, he's going to square, there's a naked lady. No, if I look at that naked lady, you're gonna knock me out. What will make you think I will knock you out now? Chops him up, and then they start chasing him. He gets undercover like a janitor, and so many moments happen in that one scene. I don't want to ruin it because it just piles upon, like a domino effect. And I was like, bro, this thing is crazy. It's almost hitting to the edge of Looney Tunes, and I'm like,
yeah,
this
which is
guy's
something Stephen Chow would definitely capitalize on in his later career. For me, there's that particular highlight in the beginning, like he's gathering with the police force, and one of the actors from the previous film comes in, but he's a different character, and he's like, weren't you in the last movie? And the dude's like, no. You know, and then when he's in the hospital undercover, he's got the cast on, and the nurse is coming, and these freaking gangsters are coming by. He's like, oh crap, and shoves her down. And she's like, what are you doing, you pervert?
Yeah, we're not going to go too deep, but that beginning and the whole sequence of everything with the nurse, and like he said, yo, I see what you're doing, buddy. I see what you're doing.
There's a lot of situational comedy, but because he's so animated and physical, it works so well.
And it's funny because it kind of touched on that, but more or less like somewhat of a gay humor in the first one when the cop sized him up. Oh my God, he's so cute. Yeah, you look so young. Yeah, you know, I was like,
I'll put on a badge
what's happening here?
I'll put on a badge
like,
for
no.
you, but I won't sell myself.
Yeah, I won't sell, like, no, I'm just making sure, like, I'm surprised you look so young. So I like the way they changed that around, but this one, a lot of sexual humor, and it's definitely, I don't say it's tasteless, it's just funny. Like,
it's not tasteless in the slightest.
It's not tasteless, it's well done. It's definitely ages well, and it's fantastically done. And this film, like I told you, it's my favorite, and actually made me a Stephen Chow fan. And, you know, I'm going to break that more when we wrap this video up. But, you know, with that said, we're going to talk about the picture quality right now. This was done by Gala, right?
Yeah, Gala Film Distribution.
Yeah, so this film also, like, was released a while ago on iTunes in 4K Dolby Vision. And I mentioned on my Twitter account, like, supposedly 4K Dolby Vision. And I showed some, you know, Peter some pictures, whatever. And whatever. It looks good, but...
Yeah, I mean, like, the Blu-ray is better, but for me to even see that on my phone, I had to, like, zoom in super close. It's like, oh, there's maybe a bit more grain, you know, like...
It's like I knew already. It was a 2K upscale, and just the colors are slightly boosted, but it's not like Dolby Vision reference stuff. Now, with this film, I'm not gonna show screencasts from previous releases. I feel like it's not necessary. But one thing that Peter mentioned is that the DVD was really done well, and we could tell like this was also like a DVD master or old master. But
Yeah,
it actually was done
definitely.
well because we see a lot of great detail in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look dramatically different from the DVD other than I think this one is matted to 185 and the
Yeah, it's
DVD
actually
was
matte,
open
yeah.
matte. Yeah, so obviously it looks better because you're getting more resolution and there's better color depth, but otherwise, you know, it hasn't been touched up. And I understand that's not 88 Films' fault. It's same with Media Asia. It's the rights holders. They're licensing the films out, but they're not letting these boutique labels do much of anything to them.
Right, but at least we gotta give these boutique labels credit. They go out of the way to get the original audio, either through fans supplying them with laserdisc audio, or even they have it themselves, or some rare DVD that actually has it. You know, or private collector that has a 35mm print. One way or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and these
But,
discs, especially with audio, they have a 5.1 mix and the original stereo, as well as commentaries, but you know that doesn't count as film audio.
But like Peter mentioned, the color depth is crazy, and you get to see that in the third film. The colors just are vibrant, they pop. I enjoyed this transfer. I was like, this looks good. And if you guys are on the fence on these films, because not only, you know, we usually cover action films, you could rent this on iTunes. I think probably Amazon has them. I think Hayat TV is also streaming these, believe it or not. All of them. You could do a 7-day trial, check them out. But overall, I am very satisfied with this transfer. But we're going to do a wrap up and the overall thing of how I feel about this collection. We're about to wrap this video up.
So in our final thoughts, this Fight Back to School box set it's very well done. It's maybe not necessary to own physically if you're not a huge fan because it is readily accessible on iTunes, but 88 Films has delivered a good trilogy package. I mean, the box is very nice. You get 3 individual cases for each film. They have some decent special features on there, and the transfers are technically the best that are currently available. And
Right.
for that alone, you know, I recommend it. You're not really going to find DVDs of these just laying around cheaply, and you know, they're good movies. And we might not think 2 is as highly regarded or as special as the other 1 and 3, but they're all a good trilogy.
Right, I definitely agree. And in our previous video, before, you know, YouTube, you know, blocked it, you know, at first in that video I said that I was happy owning just the first one and the third one on iTunes. So when we said we got to record this video again, I put the second one on randomly. I put them in out of order. And I came to the conclusion that these films have grown on me. I love them. I heard a little bit of the commentary, and I love the insight that Frank Bench and AJ DeSanto are speaking about Stephen Chow's style, the history of his career, and the actors involved with this film, and some of the and the directors as well. These are the films that I could see myself watching over the years. And I changed my mind from just owning digital to actually getting these physical because, as we mentioned in our picture comparison, these do have the original audio. And that might not be a big deal to some people. To me it is, because there might be details that probably were taken away or added that might hamper the experience. I found the 5.1 to be good, you know, a little spaced out at times, but when I heard it with original audio, it actually felt a little different. I'm definitely gonna buy that box set when I have, you know, time and the funds and all that. But me personally, you know me, I'm a big digital. I highly recommend this box set. Seriously, man.
Yeah.
But folks, as always, like, share, and subscribe. And until the next one, peace.